And, well, we have some Big Ten win totals that we want to talk about here. There you see the 5 teams that we'll be talking about. And, well, let's start with Wisconsin. We'll start with the low side here. Brad, I'm going to tee you up here. The win total for Wisconsin is 5.5. Over the last 2 seasons, plus a bowl game, Luke Fickell, his team, are 13-13. And this is not really where I think you or me expected Wisconsin to be. 5.5 is a pretty low number. You going over or under here?
It's a low number. I do think Wisconsin likely gets to a bowl game, but I'm actually going under here. They play 6 teams inside of our preseason top 20 at 24/7 Sports, and they're probably going to lose all 6 of those games. I don't think they're as talented as those 6 teams they play. You look at the schedule, I mean, it's tough. And for the Badgers to be a contender, they're going to have to win some of those games. You go to Bama. The road schedule is brutal for Luke Fickell. Now, I know he got a contract extension this offseason. Sort of surprising, actually, because I thought he'd be one of the Big Ten's hot seat coaches during his kind of infancy in Madison. But I do think you're going to see improvements out of Wisconsin this year, but it still may not result in bowl eligibility because of how brutal that schedule is going to be, not only in the Big Ten, but you also go to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, with the Big Ten schedule looking like that, Coop, a few years ago, Brad, if you would have said 5-6 years ago when we're all young and we didn't have that much great Coop, you don't have any, just me and Brad.
I'm getting there.
No doubt. You would say, you know what, the brand of Wisconsin football is going to give you 7 games just because of the way that they play, running the football, playing tough defense, grinding out games in the Big Ten in inclement weather. We're walking away and say no-brainer. They're getting to a bowl game. It's just a matter of, is this the year that they get to 10? But the way that they have that they moved that offense around the last couple of years, I'm hesitant. I don't know if they're back towards understanding what it is and what it takes to win 6 or 7 games in the Big Ten. If you want to go around and chunk the ball around and play grass basketball, that's not the recipe for success for Wisconsin. So that's why I'm under them doing that.
I'm
until
under.
They get back.
I'm under too, and I think you look at Wisconsin and Luke Fickell, maybe one of the coaches that I had the most confidence in when he got hired there in Madison, what he was going to be able to bring to Madison, which was really kind of like a high-definition focus. You think about what they were able to do at Cincinnati. I tried to find 6 wins here, and I really struggled. I think a lot of that has to do with the inconsistency of what we've seen offensively. They brought over Danny O'Neal, Billy Sanders from Maryland, a guy that you're familiar with. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Jeff Grimes, a new OC, comes over there as well. Wisconsin, one of those teams, really, really big year for them. Another team in the Big Ten that's got quite some expectations this year, Brad. How about Illinois? 7.5 wins. They're coming off a big season with 10 wins, a win over your Gamecocks there in the bowl game. I had to mention that. But what do you think here over under for that 7.5 win total for Brett Bielema's squad?
Yeah, no disrespect to the Fighting Illini. I love what they have coming back. I think it's 16 starters leading the Big Ten. But showing out when there's preseason hype behind you is something that Illinois is not used to. Brett Bielema is not used to it either. He had a couple good years, obviously, at Wisconsin and Arkansas. But this is going to be the coming out party for Illinois if they're a legitimate top 20 program. I don't think they're going to get back to that 9-10 range. 7.5 is asking a lot when you kind of look at that schedule. You know, you talk about some of the matchups. I think the preseason hype bubble burst early for Illinois in week 2 in Durham against Duke, a very good team that, you know, won 9 games last season under Manny Diaz. They got Darian Minsek, quarterback from Tulane, and that's just a non-conference slate. You still have to play Indiana, who's going to be good coming off a playoff berth. USC, maybe improved under Lincoln Riley. Defending national champion Ohio State. You got to deal with DeMond Williams Jr. in Washington. That won't be an easy game. So I'm having a hard time, Coop, trying to come up with 8 wins to hit this over. So I'm going Illinois under, finishing 7-5, and well short of preseason expectations.
Brad, typically you and I are on the same page, but not on this one. I'm going to go over. Just because of the brand of football. And I think that Coach Bielema has found the groove, how to win in the Big Ten. Like, he never forgot that. The last thing that we just talked about, Wisconsin, like, this is the brand of football that he's bringing back. We understand that early on in the season, everyone wants to sit there and throw the ball around. That's not when the season really begins. It's when once you get into the meat of your season, grinding the football out, running the football, quarterback play is going to be good. they're going to play good defense, or they're going to run the football. When you have success like that and you have the recipe for success, that's the easiest way to get to 8 or 9 wins. It's happened every single year with Iowa and Illinois. Just joined that party, and I'm on that hype train. I'm not coming off. I'm over the 7.5.
It's good working with smart guys, man. I don't have much to say. I'm going to go over as well. And Brad, I'm with you. I think finding 8 wins is going to be a little tough, but I think that's exactly where they're going to be. Is there going to be a 9-10 win season like last year? I don't know, but you think about Luke Altmaier coming back, that type of continuity as well. Brent Bielema, I think one of the best developers and program builders in the country, especially from a player development standpoint. You go all the way back in his history, Wisconsin, Arkansas, what he's been able to do. I think at Illinois, a big year this year, preseason expectations, like you said, Brad, we'll see if they can live up to those. Speaking of expectations, let's talk about Penn State, man. They got 10.5 wins is what Vegas is saying the over-under win total is. Brad, I want to start with you here on what a lot of people think is a national title contender with the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yeah, this is James Franklin's most talented roster he's had in Happy Valley. I think he's won at least 11 games, like 5 times now since coming over from Vanderbilt. It seems like yesterday, man, he left the SEC and now he is dominating the Big Ten at one of the blue blood programs. The only game that is James Franklin's kryptonite on this schedule that I see is at Ohio State. And he does not have to beat Ohio State to hit this win total. I think Penn State finishes 11-1, goes over 10.5 wins, and gets back to the Big Ten championship game. Now, whether that's against Ohio State or maybe Oregon, I'm not sure, but I do think Penn State wins 11 in the regular season, goes back to Indianapolis, and secures a playoff berth.
Brad, I'm with you on this one. Simple for me. Like, this is year 2 again for Drew in that system. This is where now you build and command the offense. You're not just running plays. You understand the reasons of running the plays. You got the best tandem running backs in the Big Ten, and also they just stole the best defensive coordinator from Ohio State and brought him over. So to me, that's 11 all the way.
Yeah,
over.
Clean sweep. And I'm with you. I think you think about that backfield, what they have with Singleton, Katron Allen. Think about Luke Reynolds. If you don't know the name now, right? That's the guy that has to fill in the shoes for Tyler Warren. Receiver was the biggest question mark. I love what they did. They bring over Trevor Pena from Syracuse. They also add Devontae Ross from Troy. Then you think about Kyron Hudson, who I think is one of the more dependable high-floor acquisitions at the receiver position. Amari Campbell they bring over from North Carolina. A.J. Harris, potential first-round draft pick. I mean, they are loaded all over the place. This is the year for Penn State. If they're going to exercise some demons, climb the mountaintop, and win a national championship, it's going to be in 2025. One of those teams trying to get there as well. How about Oregon and Dan Lanning? The same win total, 10.5 for the Ducks. It was a disappointing ending to a great season for Dan Lanning's squad. Brad, I'm going to start with you. What do you think here with the Oregon Ducks?
This was my toughest choice this year. I do not think Oregon has another unbeaten regular season as the Big Ten champion. I have Oregon finishing 10-2. I'm going under 10.5. I do have Oregon as one of the 4 Big Ten playoff teams, but I just think somewhere outside of that game at Penn State, that's going to be one of the losses for Oregon. Those final 7 weeks of the season, they're going to get tripped up somewhere. Maybe looking ahead to another opponent or something like that. But I just see Dan Lanning maybe losing a game in November to USC, somewhere around there. So Oregon I have finishing 10-2, but they will get back to the playoff in hopes of playing a little better than they did in the Rose Bowl last fall.
Yeah, Brad, you're going with that hope factor again. I'm going to go with just result factor. They went undefeated last year. And stumbling against SC, I don't see it. I think I'm over 10.5. Simply because I think they put themselves in the class, in the conversation of the Big Ten. Dan Lanning figured out how to win in the Big Ten last year. And I think he only builds, just like you see through the transfer portal, through recruiting. I think Dante Moore is going to have something to say, and Evan Stewart's going to have a lot to say. And Mekhi Hughes just joined that team and telling you that we're going to try to run the football, play ball control, because we don't understand what the quarterback's going to do yet. And by the middle towards the end, you can see this train start just building up steam and getting back to the college playoffs.
I love Dan Lanning. I love what they're building there, but I'm going to go under here. I'm with Brad all the way just in terms of how you see it. I think on the road at Penn State, and then whether it's USC or Washington, I've been on both sides of that rivalry. That game can get a little tricky. Damon Williams Jr., Brad, you've already brought him up. I think is going to be one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. Jed Fish, a really good coach there as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm with you all the way on the college football playoff appearance as well. I think that's more than likely insight for the Oregon Ducks. Guys, just a reminder, make sure to like and subscribe to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel as you're locked into the 24/7 Sports Ultimate College Football Show. Let's round it out here with the over-under win total. Brad, I'm going to ask you about the Ohio State Buckeyes, the national champions. This is the third team in the Big Ten with 10.5 wins. Are you going over or under?
My preseason number one will lose the season opener and win out. I'm going over 11-1 finish for Ohio State. I do think Texas goes into Ohio Stadium on September 1st and, ends the coronation party after a national championship for the Buckeyes. But Ryan Day has shown us that he can figure it out. I think that they get stuff fixed up front after dealing with Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill, and then they win the rest of their games, beating Penn State as well. So I'm going over 10.5 wins, Ohio State, 11-1 finish.
Brad, we are rounding this up. I'm going to go over as well. I just believe that Ryan Day's figured this out. It took him a while, but he's figured out how to understand how to manage the entire season better than he has in the past. I don't see how you lose more than a game, if that, with Jeremiah Smith, which I believe is the best player on offense outside of a quarterback in college football, and the best defensive player, Caleb Downs. There's no way that I think that a team can come into Columbus and beat those two, even if they're on their second best day, much less when they go on the road motivated with the understanding that they're trying to get back to the place that everybody doesn't believe they can get back to. So I'm over on this.
I'm going to go under, and I'll tell you why. A lot of it has to do with the coordinators. Chip Kelly's gone. Jim Knowles is gone. You got two new coordinators. You got Brian Hartline coming in. You got Matt Patricia out of nowhere coming in, going to lead the defense for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So, the other thing that comes up for me, you lose that running game, and not to say that it's not going to be efficient and productive, but losing Quinshawn Judkins, losing Travion Henderson, we're talking about 2 top 50 picks, and that allowed Jeremiah Smith to really kind of be the guy that flourished in that passing offense. What's it look like this year? Going to be a big opportunity for Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, Max Clare, and the rest of the guys as well. So let's recap the over-under picks of the 5 schools that we just talked about in the Big Ten and take a look at those. And here you see it, clean sweep for Wisconsin, Illinois. Brad is the only one going under there on the 7.5. Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. I think between all 3 of us, it's pretty safe to say that we think all 3 of those teams are college football playoff contenders. You think about this, no team in the SEC over 9.5 win total as well. So a lot of respect there for the Big Ten. Brad Crawford, we thank you, as always, my friend, for jumping on and giving your insight.